Who is this mysterious man enshrouded in ice that we saw in the first Bleach trailer? This clip had many anime-only fans confused, and so as a man of truth, I feel it's my duty to spread it whenever there is an opportunity to do so. Anime-only fans may be wondering, why does he look similar, and why is it similar to Hitsugaya out of all people? The truth is, he is related to Toshiro Hitsugaya. He is in fact his estranged big brother. He is such a mystery that we do not even know his true name, and so he is often dubbed as Big Broshiro Hitsugaya. Behind Broshiro is a dark past, and the overall interactions between him and Toshiro are very interesting. The first time we saw Broshiro, we saw him kindly greeting Renji and Rukia. Renji and Rukia in fact knew Broshiro from before, but it was never mentioned until that point. Toshiro, despite being a good-natured person, can be seen as cold and held back, but Broshiro on the other hand is very well-mannered. He's the one who often breaks the ice, as we saw in the last panel. There is a lot to learn about Broshiro. Why is he wearing a Quincy uniform, and why was he seldom mentioned until now? Well, fear not, for I have compiled a backstory video that will answer most of your questions. I have gone through great lengths to figure out Broshiro's backstory. This summary is from the Japanese-only novels, so it makes sense why many Bleach fans don't know of him, since it was never translated. The title can be translated into Clorox, a song of ice and ice, which alludes to the eventual clash between Toshiro and his brother. We do not in fact know of Toshiro's brother's name, as he was called Hitsugaya throughout the novels, so for that reason we will stick with the name of Broshiro. The tragic story between the two is that they are far from close. To get a better idea of things, let's go back into the past and learn of his story. As a young teen, Broshiro was conscripted to fight in an upcoming war, since his spiritual pressures were incredibly high. Toshiro was not born at the time, and later, his mother would make him live with his grandmother as a baby to avoid the same fate as his brother. Whether it was fate or luck, Toshiro will end up following his brother's path in joining the Soul Reapers. However, their similarities end there. Broshiro was conscripted in a rough and brutal time. He was brought in and put on the front line without much training. Countless others were also in his position, and they were sure to get mowed down even if any basic hollow showed up. In their first assignment, they were stationed in the outskirts of Rukongai, in what seemed like an enemy base. What Broshiro and the rest of the recruits did not know was that him and the others were conscripted only to be used as bait. They were stationed in a castle to lure the enemy, and once they were slaughtered, the adept Soul Reapers will hit the enemies with a surprise ambush. Broshiro and the other recruits were out in the open, right in the middle of the area, while the Soul Reapers were all in hiding. Broshiro would overhear some of them, and find out that this was in fact their initiation. Only those who survive will become Soul Reapers. Once everyone was in place, the Soul Reapers got a grim warning for things to come. Countless Soul Reapers in the woods were disappearing from their radar. The enemy was getting closer. A single man on a horse appeared from the woods. The light began to fade in the whole area, and all the new recruits but Broshiro were knocked unconscious. The man walked up to the castle gates, and with what seemed like a gust of wind, shattered the heavy gates. He then miraculously called forth lightning from the palm of his hands and zapped the castle walls, caving in the exits. The man would use the finger from his other hand to start a fire all around the castle. Broshiro and the rest of the Soul Reapers now had no way to escape, but neither did the mysterious man. The man neared closer to the unconscious recruits. Broshiro picked up his new Zanpakuto and approached him. He told the man not to step any further. Broshiro did not like conflict, but if the enemy harms any of these recruits who were forced to be here, he would have no choice but to fight. The cloaked man kept on walking, as if he had no care in the world, and Broshiro would go on to strike him with his Zanpakuto. Broshiro ended up cutting through his cloak, but the man's skin began to glow and repel the attack. Broshiro did no damage at all. He kept on hacking and slashing, but to no avail. "How far will you go to protect your peace?" said the mysterious man. "As far as I need to go," said Broshiro. Broshiro would hack and slash at the man until his hands became bloody from swinging his blade. The man stood there and took it without even getting a scratch on his body. Broshiro started swinging his bare hands until he could no longer stand. The stoic man would then go on to say, "Turn around and look at who you are fighting for. The strong hide while the weak are forced to fight for their lives. Do you really think they fight for peace?" Broshiro was exhausted and he did not say a word. At that moment, Broshiro himself understood more than anyone else how they were just fresh meat, how they were sacrificial pawns, but he had no choice in that matter. Not only do they not fight for peace, but they don't have the strength and composure to fight at all, said the mysterious man. Suddenly, Broshiro began to hear the screams of the Soul Reapers. He turned around to see all the experienced Soul Reapers emerging out from hiding. Why were they screaming? This must have been their war cry, Broshiro thought. Broshiro had felt a glimmer of hope inside of him, after succumbing to the despair of being able to do absolutely nothing. Were the Soul Reapers finally coming out to protect the recruits? No, they were all terrified of something. Some seemed like they saw a ghost, some sounded like they were being tortured, some were screaming as if they were dying from a painful disease. All the Soul Reapers in charge would go on to end their own lives after the sheer fear they felt, but the fresh recruits were still unharmed. This man destroyed the whole fortress without raising a hand. What the hell was he? The mysterious man would then utter these words, "If peace is what you want, I will show you the path to it. I will equip you with the knowledge to fight for it, and I will lend you the strength to bring justice to these lands. From now on you shall fight for the Quincy, in the name of peace and justice," said the man as he raised his hand onto the boy's head. Broshiro felt an overwhelming pain in his body, as if his veins, arteries, and heart were about to explode. Little did he know, he had gained Quincy powers. In exchange for the lives of the recruits, Broshiro would accompany the mysterious man, and from then on, Rookie Soul Reaper, wielding just a fresh Zanpakuto, would join the Quincy King as his first ever Soul Reaper recruit. Broshiro would leave behind his best friend, his family, all to accompany this man, all in the pursuit of strength, ideals, and the greater good, which is all this mysterious man seemed to talk about.